Behind me is the pedestrian bridge that Brightline was supposed to build a long time ago. So when you arrive to Brightline Aventura, you can conveniently go across the tracks, across busy US 1 Biscayne Boulevard, and connect with the largest mall in Florida, that is Aventura Mall. But you can see we're actually in the station parking lot. Oddly enough, it's just sitting here in the back. You can see all of the pieces right here. We're gonna talk a little bit about why this was delayed, when we should expect it to be ready, and what it takes to get to Aventura Mall today without the pedestrian bridge. So Brightline Aventura opened the end of 2022, December 2022. I was actually here for the grand opening of that and the first ride. At the time, up until last year, you were able to just walk out of these doors and into a waiting shuttle. They actually had a shuttle service that would take you from the station to the mall because they knew the pedestrian bridge would not come anytime soon. And so this was a really, really good option once you get out of the station. That way you can just seamlessly, and it really was seamless, it was just waiting right here, connect with the mall. I've walked to the edge of the Brightline Aventura station just to show you guys how funny this is. So the pedestrian bridge, this by the way links the station to the platform, which is just across this street right here, West Dixie Highway. The bridge pieces you see in the parking lot are gonna go over that busy road over there where those cars are currently driving. And the mall, if you guys can see, there's a JCPenney right there. That is Aventura Mall. So we are here at the station and we can already see the mall, but Google says it'll take me 2 miles, 40 minutes to walk to that mall. It is mind-blowingly inconvenient if you just want to get there on foot, like it's right there. But no, current infrastructure does not allow that. We're gonna talk about some options on the way there. By the way, we're gonna walk it. We're gonna do the 40-minute walk, 2 miles, and we're gonna time it and see if it's actually correct, if we take longer, if we get lost along the way, if it's easy to even maneuver the sidewalk, the crosswalks, and just see overall how long and how brutal the experience is to get to Aventura Mall today without that bridge. All right, we have officially started the walk. It's gonna track also the distance that we're gonna go ahead and cover. We're exiting the Brightline station. You guys can see the signage right over here. This is such a silly idea I have. February of last year, 2024, they suspended, or I guess just outright canceled the shuttle service. So now you're left pretty much finding your way to Aventura Mall. And you basically have a couple of options, which we're gonna discuss. You can walk it. Like I said, it's like 2 miles of walking, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna get these steps in and we're gonna see how this all works out. Another thing you can do, and this only applies if you're a premium class ticket holder, which is like their upper class, includes snacks, drinks, and all in the station and on the train. Those folks get a $10 Uber voucher, which is meant to connect you to your last mile destination. In this case, it would be Aventura Mall. So in that case, you'd be covered. You'd have your $10 voucher to go to the mall, and if you have a round trip train ticket, you'll have a $10 voucher to come back to the station. Whew, the scenery has definitely not changed. We still have the townhomes to our right and more homes on the left. So I'm very curious about this walk because there's a portion of it towards the north end where you used to have to walk over train tracks, and that is what I think Google is showing you when you search up the route. But they actually built this elevated walkway. It goes over the tracks, goes over all of the roads. You can either take the stairs up there or take an elevator. And I'm very curious to see how that ties into our walk, whether it's easy to actually access or if it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get to. They ain't lying about that blazing hot. All right, so here's what I mean. This is Ives Dairy Road, Northeast 203rd Street. I don't think there's a connection down there to get over the tracks. I mean, that's the whole point of that structure over there, to get us safely over it. So we're gonna go ahead and wait at this crosswalk. It's a very busy intersection. By the way, we're 7 minutes into the walk. Whew. All right, I'll give you about 40 seconds to cross, not bad. Okay, we're coming up on that new bridge. So they actually force you onto it, which is really good. You used to have to deal, this is all new stuff. You used to have to deal with walking over the tracks, and this road as well would go over the tracks. But now the road itself avoids the train tracks and pedestrians as well. So here we are. There is an elevator too. I think, let's take the stairs. So from up here, we'll be able to see, they're doing some landscaping right now, by the way. Whew. I'm very curious what things look like from up there. I've never done this before. All of this is new construction. You can see the road markings right there, and there's a fence. Like I said, you used to be able to just walk and drive right over it. Now, that's no longer the case, which is why I started on the other side of the station and not this side. I would have had to do the same maneuver. So, woo, I'm out of breath. Let's see how we're doing on timing and distance. About 12 minutes. So far gone half a mile. Not too bad. I think we're doing a really good pace. Like, that's not gonna be the case if you're like a family with kids and stuff. It's super inconvenient. Here's the Brightline FEC train tracks. Here is the new overpass to go uninterrupted over the railroad. Here's the landscaping, by the way. I don't think it connects, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know where that leads to. I don't think that leads to the other side of the train tracks. I think it's just a pretty landscaped walking path. Oh my goodness. All right, here you get a better view of it. It looks like it's going under, but I have my doubts. But this is super nice. This structure wasn't here, so when you put into Google Maps that walk path to the mall, it's not necessarily gonna take you this route. So that might have made it longer in the past. This might actually be a shorter walk, if I'm being honest. I think we're doing good timing as well. All right, we're going under the overpass. Also, I think Google sends you that way. This looks like a new crosswalk, so we're gonna take it. By the way, it isn't too hot, 84 degrees. Let's see, humidity, it feels like 87. We are coming up on noon. You'll pass by active construction sites. Not bad, it's not obstructing our walk, but oh my goodness, it is brutally hot. Imagine this in the rain or in the peak of our summer, which gets into like 110 degrees, feels like temp, factoring in humidity. We can see the station though, look at it. That's exactly where we started. Should have been easy. Look at that, there's people waiting for the train over there on that platform. Oh my goodness. What a inconvenient walk. Another crosswalk. Not too many on this walk, I'd say. I think like 3. City of Aventura sign. We are closing in on the mall, but not quite there yet. Okay, so while we walk, I'll talk so we don't waste time. That is where that pedestrian bridge will go. I'm gonna zoom in on it a little bit more. You can already see the bolts coming out of it and a little area for the other side to rest on. So you're gonna be able to go from there across this busy road and it'll drop you off at the mall. Not directly in the mall. I'll show you guys more or less where that landing site will be, but you'll still have to cross some amount of streets. Like, this is so crazy to think. We could have just walked from there, that opening, across this, and we'd be at the mall in like, what, 2 minutes? All right, so this sidewalk ends. So we've got to cross, but we don't have the walk sign on yet. But the mall signage is right there. I'm not stopping the timer until we step inside the air-conditioned mall. We are forced to cross here, unfortunately. We're doing all of this the legal way. There's Brightline. Woo! Sidewalk ends over there. Oh my God, this is so weird. Okay, strictly following my rule of staying within some form of sidewalk the legal way. You can obviously take a shortcut if you'd like by just walking through grass and stuff, but we're timing this the legal way. So we got a crosswalk. I think Nordstrom will be the first contact with the mall for us. Smaller crosswalk. So these are the streets you'll have to cross when you get off of that bridge, whenever that is built. All right, we're about to hit 25 minutes, 1.2 miles. Stop it when we get in there. Thank you. All right, that concludes our walk from the station to the mall. We're actually inside the mall now, Nordstrom. I'm gonna actually throw up on the screen the outline so you guys can see it a little better, but I did track the exact route that I took, the shortest route that I could find from the station to the mall. It's not as dramatic as what Google shows you, which would take you a little bit more north. Whew, we did some solid timing there. When that shuttle service was running, this is where it would drop me off. At least it's covered, and you just have to walk literally a few steps into the mall. That is where the bridge will connect, and then the landing will be somewhere in this empty area. Still a long way to go because obviously they're not really doing anything as far as groundwork, foundation work. But when you get off here, suppose you cross over the bridge, you're gonna get off here. This will probably be more pedestrianized and not just like an empty dirt lot. You'd be able to get, I just wanna give you guys a perspective. You'd still have to cross this street on the other side. The garage is still in your way. And then you have JCPenney, and then you have Nordstrom on the other side. So just wanna not set expectations so high. The bridge from the station will not go directly into the mall. for starters, you have the garage in the way. So yeah, I think it's much needed. I'm not talking bad about the bridge. I just want to show you guys where the landing site is, and the current infrastructure today does not allow for a seamless connection from the station. We managed to do it in under half an hour, but again, that is just me walking at about a 3-mile-an-hour pace, maybe a little faster. For someone with, let's say, a stroller or anything, obviously you'd get like an Uber. You wouldn't put your child through that. Imagine in rainy conditions and you don't want to Uber for whatever reason, there should be a way for you to just walk from the station to the mall. And that is exactly what Brightline had in mind. Unfortunately, there were some delays. Right here, by the way, the mall owners, Turnberry, had an office building originally planned. I'm talking like while this station was still being built, or even earlier than that. And the bridge was supposed to connect to that office building, but they canceled those plans. And so we don't see, obviously, an office building here, but now they had to find a new landing site, which it's still going to be the same one right here, I believe. The issue now is they've already agreed on the landing site with the mall. Now they have to move a water main and other drainage that's underground to fit this, I guess, the pedestal and the foundation of the landing site for the bridge. So you obviously need to install elevators, you need to install stairs, and there's no groundwork being done right now. The last expected time frame for this bridge was Thanksgiving of last year, 2024. Now it's Thanksgiving of this year, 2025. So I guess I'll do an update at the end of the year and see if there's a bridge, but I'm having my doubts, honestly. I really am. In case you're wondering, how did I get back? The same exact way. What do you guys think about this? Especially if you're a local. I know my friend Noah, who's very into transit and trains and stuff and infrastructure, he weighed in on it, I believe, end of 2023, when they removed that bus stop in front of the Aventura station as part of the Better Bus network. So I'm gonna throw up on the screen what he said. He's very vocal about it because now, as he referenced and as we've tested, it is very inconvenient to walk from the station to the mall and vice versa. Not as bad as Google made it out to be a couple years ago before they built that pedestrian bridge, but still very, very inconvenient, knowing that the station and the mall are just across the street from one another. We just got back to Brightline Aventura, right where we started. You guys saw it took me just over 25 minutes to walk from what should have been just across the street. But it gives you an idea of the current situation if you choose not to do premium, which gives you that Uber voucher, or you don't want to walk to 203rd Street, which honestly it's the best option other than Ubering and paying it yourself. If you walk just about half a mile or so, there's a bus stop and the 199 will take you to the mall. So that is the best option. I just walked the entire way to prove a point that it shouldn't be like this. I don't think this is Brightline's fault. They obviously have to work with the developers, Aventura Mall, and they have to come to some sort of agreement and then, you know, schedule when this is going to take place. So I wouldn't place the fault entirely on Brightline because, I mean, obviously they want what's best for their customers. They know that it is super convenient and it will attract more people if there is a direct connection to the mall across the street, but there isn't. So that's what this video is all about. Raising awareness to whoever is in charge to please expedite the pedestrian bridge that is very much necessary, at least before the holiday season. We know that was the goal last year, but this year, hopefully we can get it done. And hopefully at the end of the year, I can provide an update, at least a YouTube short of some sort, of me walking across the bridge and timing myself going to the mall and back. So with that said, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy infrastructure, transportation type videos, leave a like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you're local, especially what you think about this. Even if you're not, is there a place anywhere near where you live that is somewhat similar to this, where a walk that is supposed to be a short distance turns into a really long one because the infrastructure is just not there? Here, it's obviously taking long, so I want to know what the case is in other cities and other states. And with that said, I will catch you in the next video.